Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Hayemi, NIDAH Tazayin. We begin 5 lines off the top of the Amud. Now, we discussed this already yesterday. What power do we attribute to the vest? A woman has a designated time that she expects her period to arrive. That vest, that time, how strong is it? So we know that she's obligated to make a bedika to check whether there is dam. Well, let's say she does not do a bedika. Does that vest automatically make for a status change? The assumption is that dam has arrived. Whether or not you noticed it, we assume it was dam. Even a droplet would change her status. And that would be because the power of a vest is based on halacha l'mishmei Sinai. Vesta is deraisa. So it has halachic ramifications to that extent that even if you pass through the vest and you haven't seen any dam, you did bedika today, too late, because it could have arrived then unnoticed. On the other hand, you can say Vesta is merely midrabanan. It's a strictness. It's an added, buffer, added precaution. We're meant to do bedika, the time of the vest, on the day that you expect the period. But even if you haven't, your status still remains the same, unless you discover that. Ba'u minei, or ba'a minei, Rava asked me Rav Nachman, Vesta is deraisa d'Rabbanan. How would you classify the din of vest? The chiv of bedika is based on the fact that vest is minat Torah, and automatically your status changes. Unless you can confirm on site, on the day, on the time of vest that there's no dam. But if you pass that moment, and you fail to do a bedika, even if you check later on, says Rashi, and she finds nothing, she finds herself to be tahor. No, she's telling me, oirach bizmanei ba. Her regular system is assumed to have functioned properly, and there was some element of dam there, even though it came and went unnoticed. Oy d'Rabbanan, or shall we say that the chiva bedika is only d'Rabbanan, and even in absence of a bedika, she still remains tahor unless confirmed to be tamei. Amar lahu. So he responded, look, there's a statement from Rav Huna, our colleague, with the Amar Huna Chavran, the fact that Huna, our colleague, had quoted Mishmei de Rav, Isha she'esh la vest, Isha who has pre-designated vest. Yigeshas vest of lebatka, the vest arrives, and she failed to do bedikah, but say for also. And then, a day later, she did a bedikah and she discovered dam. So, let's say it was Tuesday she found dam. Her vest was back on Sunday. Chesheshes levesta. She has to be concerned that her vest triggered dam, meaning she was already tummy from Sunday, 2 days ago. Chesheshes l'riyasa, as well as to the fact that she discovered dam now. So in our case, she discovered dam on Tuesday. She would have the din of me'is leis going back to, from Tuesday morning to Monday morning. And even further back than that, if the vest was a day beyond that, she's telling me all the way back to Sunday. So a machmir all around. She gets the standard, me'is leis. She'll even go further back to Sunday if that was her shas vest. And Rashi explains, the Gemara at this point figured that even if she hadn't discovered dam on Tuesday, we are still choshesh that the vest was a game changer. Alma vest is deraisa. Apparently it's deraisa. Ikadam Risham had a different version to his response. Time of the rasa. No. Only reason why we deem her tummy is because she discovered dam now on Tuesday. Rasa, but otherwise, ein choshesh would not be concerned about Sunday, despite the fact that it was the Yom vest. Alma vest is the Rabbana. Apparently it's only Rabbana, which is Mechayev, which requires a bedika, but even the absence of a bedika, it's not an automatic status change. Itma, further on this topic, Isha Ish Levest, Isha that has an expected, anticipated time. Yigashas vest of Batka, the vest arrives and she fails to check. We'll say Batka, a day later she checked. Amarav, well, it depends. Batka matzos Tmeya, if the inspection discovered dam, Tmeya. So she is tummy. Tahira. But if she discovers it to be tahar, then tahira is tahira. So only if she found dam do we say, well, we assume that the dam arrived yesterday, at the point of vest. But if she didn't find turned out to be clean today, so then we're not concerned that there was dam and it disappeared. Shmuel Amar, no, I feel batka matzas tahira. Even if she discovered no dam today, nami tmei, she still automatically is tamei from the time of the vest going forward. We assume that the oirach, the regular, conventional system, had functioned properly. The dam had arrived, and it somehow, disappeared without, not being noticed. Perhaps this dispute revolves around that fundamental question of how to view the vest. Shmuel holds that vest is deraisa, in which case it's an automatic game changer. Rav says it's only Rabbanon. And therefore, if she found no dam today, she's Torah despite failing to check up during the moment of vest of yesterday. Rav Zer, no, you don't have to go that way. Dukuliyam vest is deraisa. Perhaps all agree vest is based on deraisa, and in fact, it is a status changer. Okay, so why did Rav say that if there was no dam discovered on the bedika, she's okay? We're talking that she did the bedika right then and there. When Rav says no dam on the bedika, she's Torah. Shebat ga'atzma k'shir vest. She checked herself immediately following the moment of the vest. So let's say the vest was meant to be Tuesday 2:00, and a split second later she checked herself. So there we can assume if there would have been dam at exactly 2, it would have been there a split second later as well. The fact that she discovered no dam indicates that the vest did not produce any dam. But over there when we say that if she failed to check during the vest, it's a status changer. Even though there was no dam today, because we assume the power of the vest is so strong and it generates dam unbeknown to her. We speak that she did not do an immediate examination right after the moment of vest, so then we have to assume the vest was a status changer, and it went unnoticed. Rav Nachman Yitzchak Amar, he says, no, I like the first approach. The vest is Rav Shmuel is exactly how to deal with vest. The Marasava vest is deraisa, Marasava vest is derabanan. Shmuel says it's deraisa, so in absence of a bedika, she still automatically has a status change. And Rav says it's derabanan. So although there's a chiyuv to do bedika, but even without a bedika, her status remains the same. And certainly if she finds no dam today, she is considered to be Torah. Omar Sheshes Katanoi, actually, it's Machlokes Tanaim as well. Rabbi Lezer Emet Mei NIDAH. So this woman who passed through the Yom HaVest without a bedika, she's considered definitely Tami as a NIDAH. We assume there was dam there. Rabbi Shua Emerti Badek. Shua says have her check herself. Whatever happens. So even though she passed through the Yom HaVest without checking, she's still Torah. No, and let's link this Machlokes Tanaim to another Machlokes Tanaim as well. Esanya, Rabbi Emerti Mei NIDAH. She's telling me, just check. I'll find you another Reb Meir who holds that Vesta is deraisa. This non Rabbi Omer, Moiseh b'machve. So a woman wasn't hiding out from during wartime or whatever. V'yigiaz shas Vesta, and the time of the Vesta arrived like and she failed to check Torah. She's still considered Torah. You know why? What do you mean? This shas Vest automatically triggers. The answer is because the fear factor overrides it. Shecharada, because the fear, misalakas adamim, it suspends the period. And the quote, time in the kacharada, apparently it's only because we have that fear element present, which counteracts the vast power. Like if there's no fear element present, to me, she's considered Tami Alma. What do we see? Vest is deraisa, that in fact Rameir holds the vest factor, vest element is so strong it's minat Torah, and it would change her status, if not for these, counteracting elements. Perhaps we can link it to a different Machlokes Tanaim as well. The Sanya, a person knows, she knows she has some sort of cut, a wound inside, and she's seeing dam because of it. I feel even if it's happening during days where she typically would have dam. It's during her, anticipated vest time. Torah, she's okay because we attribute the dam to the wound, which is okay. Divrei Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Rabbi Omer, no. If she has a vest and now she's seeing the dam, we're concerned that it's coming from the NIDAH dam, and she's tummy. So what's the machlokes about? We know she has a mako, she has a wound, and we have dam here. What should we attribute it to the mako or to the NIDAH? Rabbi says, time of vest, more likely it's coming from the NIDAH. And Rabbi Shimon says she's okay. Apparently they're arguing about the power of vest. My love. Well, let's assume machlokes revolves around that question. The Marasov vest is deraisa. Rabbi says vest is deraisa, so you can't discount it. You can't, consider the makkah at this point because the power of vest is so strong. And we have to be concerned that there was dam of the NIDAH mixed in there. Marasov vest is derabbanan. Other shita says no, it's only derabbanan. So to begin with, it's not a definite, concern. And here you have an alibi, you have a cover story, you have a wound. Let's blame the blood on that. Amar Avinu loy, no. The kuliyama versus the rabbanon, perhaps all agree it's the rabbanon. So why would Rebbe consider her to be tummy? No, we're not making her tummy. We're making the blood tummy. The question is the womb, uterus, which produces the dam. The question is about the status of the actual place, the location. Meaning, when an Isha sees dam as a NIDAH, not only is the dam tummy as material, which is tummy, but the woman itself, since she is a blood-producing entity at this point, she's a NIDAH. Here we're talking about a totally different story. It's wound blood. It's not NIDAH blood. She as a person is not tummy. The question is the blood, which sort of gets channeled through the makar. It came into contact with that area. That in itself is a reason for it to become tummy. The makar itself generates tummy. That's the machlokes. Yes or no? Rabban Shmuel Savar, Isha Torah, V'dam Tameh. He says, although the woman is tar, because we presume she's not an NIDAH yet, this blood is from the wound, but the blood which came into contact with that area is Tameh, because it's traveling to the makar area. Rebbe disagrees. He says either or. Either she's a NIDAH, so everything's tummy, or everything's okay. No such a thing as coming through the channel. That's not a reason for a tummy. If you're concerned that the vest triggered true dam NIDAH, then the whole woman is tummy. As a NIDAH, Ishnam Itmeah. They're not concerned about the blood coming from the vest. It's coming from the wound, so what's the problem? Because it went through the area? No, the area is tar, and it doesn't affect the dam. Dam is considered fully tar because it's coming from a wound. Okay, so bottom line, vestes. The woman expects a period to arrive at a certain time, a certain day. She must make a bedika to maintain her status. Now, suppose she did not. The old vestes deraisa. The assumption that the likelihood that the dam was produced on that day is so strong that an automatic status changer. Not so if you hold vestes derabbanan. Continues the Mishnah. As discussed many times, a woman who's involved in handling taharis materials is required to make a bedika when she's with her husband. So it's a series of bedikas, one prior to being with her husband to ensure her tahara status, and one post, being together to ensure that the experience did not generate dam. She requires two separate cloths, alko tashmish v'tashmish, for every time they're together. So one before, one after, even if it's multiples throughout the night. A separate set of bedikas per experience, which of course she'll only be able to check in the morning, in daylight. But nevertheless, we need a separate confirmation per experience. Or if she wants to reuse the same cloth, to shamish le'amer. It should be a nair, a candle there, which can be used to verify the cleanliness of the cloth, even though it's not ideal. It's not as good as daylight, but it could also work. No need. Just one set of cloths covers the entire night. Daya, it is sufficient for her b'shnei edim to use merely two cloths called layla for the entire night. Rashi says, echad lefnei tashmish rishon ve'echad la'achad tashmish achron, one prior to the first time they're together and one following the final time. And Rashi in the bottom line says, after all, so even though we don't know her status throughout the night, and even according to Beis Shammai, there's no candle to check. They're going to put aside the cloth and they're going to discover in the morning what's going on. Nevertheless, it works, because after all, the purpose is for taharis. As long as you know her status now in the morning, that's sufficient. Tan Rabban, we turn to Talmud Bavli. Okay, a debate between Mishamai and Basil on this topic. Ava Bisha Amru. Even though we all know Hamashamish, if one is together with his wife, Hamashamish Matasal Arner, in front of a candle, it's inappropriate, Hareza Maguna. But actually, the Gemara later will explain, we're not speaking about actually being together in front of a candle. That, of course, is not allowed. Rather, we're speaking about checking the cloth to the light of a candle. So even though it's not really ideal, it's not as good as daylight, but it can serve its purpose. Ideally, she should have a separate set of cloths for each time, and check it only in the morning. Or use the same cloth over and over, and have it checked in between by way of a candle. But it is required. You have to have a separate confirmation per time. But still, no, there's no need for a separate confirmation per experience. One covers it all. Daya, b'shnei edim kol halayla. Tanya. Amr lehem beis Shammai, they turn to beis Hillel. How is that sufficient? Maybe there was something in between, which will pass unnoticed. According to you, merely one bedika in the morning? Leichush, why not be concerned? Shematira. Perhaps she'll experience tipas dam kechardel, a minute droplet of blood the size of a mustard seed, which is a game changer. Maybe a rishayna during the first time they're together, and she'll never notice it, because the second time around it will cover it up. It will dissolve in the zera. Usach apena. Shich vazer b'yeshnia. The second time they're together, the zera will dissolve it. It will disappear. It will never come to light. Amru lahem beis Hillel. Responds beis Hillel. Well, if you're concerned about that, it's a never-ending proposition. So even according to you, okay, you make a separate bedika per time. Maybe there's some blood in there. It's going to be dissolved by the zera during when they're together. You see, you'll never get to the bottom of it. Even according to you, that you require a separate bedika per time. We shall still be concerned. It's a metaphor, as the saliva is in the mouth. Maybe it dissolved it. Expression means the zera is in that area. Perhaps it's going to dissolve and make the droplet of dam disappear. So, if you're concerned, it's a never-ending concern. Amar lahem, Bishami respond, yeah, but of course, it's never going to be 100 million% accurate, but there's definitely a greater chance of discovering the facts if, in fact, we have a separate bedika per time, as opposed to you, where you're waiting until morning. Who knows what happens by the time morning came around? Amar lahem, you can't compare something which had been covered up, and dissolved one time, to whether it happened twice, meaning multiple experiences and multiple introductions of materials to the area would certainly have a weakening effect, which is much more profound than just one time. So why would you allow a bedika at the very end when there's a strong likelihood that it's not really going to be reflective of reality? Tanya, Rabbi Yeshua. So how does Rabbi Yeshua go? He says, Ruyani is the Rabbi Shammai. I seem to side with Rabbi Shammai, who require a separate bedika per experience. Omrli Talmidim responded, you're making it very difficult. Rabbi, Kama, Rachta Leinu. Rachta says, Rashi Mizach Marti, you've come down so hard on us and so strict to require a separate bedika. Amr Lami says, look, better have it a bit difficult in this world than have it easy here and difficult there. Amr Lam Mutav, it's better, Sha'arich Aleichem B'mazeh, I'll make it difficult and challenging for you in this world to increase your success and eternal reward in Haba. Kadei She'aricha Yemechem L'Haba. Amr Rabbi Zera. Medivri Kulam Nilmad. Based on this whole discussion, based on everybody's opinion, we see that there is somewhat of a concern that the actual experience of being together can trigger a dam, reaction. because Shammai certainly are concerned to the point that they require bedika after every tashmish. And even Beis Hillel are somewhat concerned, although they allow you to address it in the morning, but there's a concern that the experience has triggered something. And therefore, says Reb Zera, a person wants to be really righteous and meticulous. Based on everybody, we learn Bal Nefesh. Rashi says Bal Nefesh means a chassid, the person who adopts a high standard of spirituality. Lo Yivol Yishne should not be together twice in a row because of a concern that perhaps the first experience triggered down. And Tesis adds, meaning Pirush Im Lo Yivdek. So without doing a bedika in between, you should not repeat. Rav Amar, no concern, even for a chassid. We don't reckon with these far-fetched possibilities. Boil v'shoina, multiple times is perfectly okay. Our discussion regarding bedikas, our sugi, is only regarding taharis, which has its own, set of rules. Kitanya hila taharis. That whole discussion was regarding taharis. Tanam hach, we find the same in the brayso. Bedikas in general are only for taharis. But when do we have bedikas? Lit taharis. Aval regarding being with her husband, mutarish is fully okay. Rashi explains that even a Bal Nefesh, we don't want you to be extra careful, extra, meticulous with bedikas, because as we had back at the beginning of the Masechta, it's going to generate unwanted anxiety and hold back on. But when do we say Isha is okay for her husband without confirming her status? He left home when she was tar. He left home when she was b'cheskas tmeya, she was in a tummy status. Then he can't just assume things unless he confirms that she became tar. So she's presumed to be in her status of tumah until confirmed otherwise. Until she tells him, Teirani, I'm tar. Amrab B'chia Barash Amarav. Botka Be'ed V'avad. So she did the Isha who was involved in Taharis. Beginning of the night, she had a B'dika before being together, and it went missing. V'avad. So you think, who cares? At the end of the day, she did Takanas Chacham, she did a B'dika. And in any case, you wouldn't be checking it until morning. So why can't they be together? Asur l'shamish ashetivdek, she can't be together with her husband until she makes another B'dika. The question is why? Maskef l'Rab Ila, I don't understand. In any case, you're not checking it until morning. So for the time being, she's okay. Whether or not the cloth is here. So why should that impact her status? Ilu Isa, look, suppose the cloth would be here. Right here. But it's pitch black. You couldn't check it anyways. You would put it aside until the morning. And they can be together even prior to confirming her status. Ilu Isa, Mila Misham Shaken, she be Mishamish Va'avagav, despite the Loyada, she has no clue what's going on that cloth. Hashtanami Tishamish here as well, if it's lost. Why should it hold him back? Amalei Rava. I'll tell you the answer. Because when the cloth is around, you are in fulfillment of the Takonas Chacham, who required a B'dika for Taharis, although it's going to be checked only in the morning, but the fact is it's around. And eventually, you'll check and determine her status. And you'll know whether she's tar for Taharis, and Rashi adds the B'dika prior to Tashmish. If dam was discovered on it, you'll know that they're Chai V'chata. So you'll eventually discover all the facts. But here, when it's missing, you haven't really fulfilled Takanas Chachamim. Rashi says, Darehu K'moy Shloi Bodka. It's like she never did B'dika. There's no way of ascertaining the facts. So you have to redo it. In fulfillment of the Takana. Amalei Rav Zu, Mechicha Kain, the one that has a cloth around, even though it's pitch black, her evidence is around. And eventually, it's going to be examined to determine her status. Vizu, but the one who lost her cloth, Ein Mechicha Kain, her evidence is not around. So in order to proceed, she has to do another B'dik. Amr B'yechna. Also, Adam, she shamish mitasel bayim. person's not allowed to be together during daytime. Micro, based on which pasuk shenemar, pasuk in Eiv. He cursed the day of his birth. He says, I wish the day that I was born would have disappeared off the map, would have been obliterated off the schedule. And the Laila, the night that I was conceived in, I wish it wouldn't have existed. That's how challenging his life was. Shenemar yoiv ad yoim, evil at boy, v'alayla omar hoira gover. So we learn from there, hoira gover, the man, impregnates the woman. That relates to Laila. Nighttime is the appropriate time for that. Laila nitan liroyin. Nighttime is meant for conception, but day lo nitan liroyin is not meant for that. A different pasuk. Boy is rochav yumas. Pasuk in Mishlei. Boy is rochav yumas. Rashi explains rochav here relates to being together. And why is that called boize? Rashi says mashamash b'yayim, because being together by day can come to bizayin. Shema Yirada Ba'adav Magunov, this kind of Olav. The more later will say that during daytime, perhaps something unattractive in her will be noticed, and she'll become unattractive to him, will generate an element of Bezayin. So Boizad Rachav Yamus tells us to keep away by day. V'rish Lakish. So now, why did each Amoira opt for his pasuk as opposed to the other pasuk? What does Rabbi Yochanan, with the second pasuk, do with the first pasuk, Rabbi Yochanan? Look at the Darish Rabbi Chanina Papa, the following. Darish Rabbi Chanina Papa. He taught us how the process works. The whole system of conception, Oisei Malach Hamamun Alei Royan, Laila Shmai, is a Malach entrusted with activating the process of conception. And his name is Laila. What does he do? He takes the life force meant for the droplet of Zerah, which will be used to form the baby. We present it to Hashem to get its destiny, to get its mission. He turns to Hashem, what's the status of this tipa? What's going to be his mission? What's going to be his traits, his features, his powers, his strong points, his weak points? What's going to be his program? What's going to be his mission in this world? The shlichus. Giborei chalash. Mighty or weak. Chachamei tipesh. Wise or unwise. Asher or ani. Wealthy or unwealthy. What's his program? And these are all, the elements that the person will have to contend with. This is going to be his mission, to make the best of his setting, spiritualize his situation, whatever it is that he was given to do. If we pay attention, he doesn't mention anything about spirit, anything about ruchnius. He doesn't ask Hashem, will he be a wicked or righteous? You know why? That's up to the person to generate. All these other elements, all the props to the show, I'll give him by Hashem. Look, this is your setting. You make the best of it. Everything is coming from Hashem, except for Yiras Shamayim. That's something that a person has to generate. Shenemar. This is one thing that Hashem asks of us. I've given you all the different elements that you need for the complete fulfillment of your mission. But now you activate it. V'ati Yisrael, now, Klal Yisrael, Ma Hashem Elkecha Shalom Imach, what is Hashem asking of you? Kimli Yiras Hashem Yiras Shamayim, and all matters of spirit. So according to Reish Lakish, this pasuk of Laila Omar Her Gover relates to the Malach called Laila, who's involved in setting up the system of conception. Taisus points out that Heiroyan is connected to the Malach, but Leida itself, birth itself, nobody's in charge except for Hashem directly, as we have back in Maseches Tanis. Now, what does Rabbi Yochanan do? If we learn all this from the pasuk, how does he know? His point that Heiroyan is relating to Laila, Rabbi Yochanan, if it's only for all this, nichtav kro gever hoira. It would say it this way, gever hoira. But Laila Omar gever hoira, to tell you that the malach in charge of the hoira is the Laila. Why does it word it differently? My hoira gover. Why place the word hoira, which denotes the impregnation, next to the word Laila? My hoira gover, to tell you Laila nitin leroyin v'yayim lo nitin leroyin, to teach us another point as well. That heroyin is meant to be B'Laila, not B'yayim. Rabbi Yochanan. Now let's go the other way. Haikra der Shlakish my Darish Bey. Rabbi Yochanan, who had his source, what does he do? How does he apply the pasuk of Rish Lakish, of Boizet, Roch, of Yamus? My Darish Bey. Boile, it's needed for other, to disallow, to discount other inappropriate behaviors. Boile l'kichsiv, it's needed for what's written b'sefer, in this sefer called Sefer Ben Sira, which wasn't necessarily words of Torah, it was words of wisdom, from which the Chachamim garnered a lot of interesting lessons. It's mentioned here, it's mentioned elsewhere in Shas. So he discourages certain forms of behavior, and that's all covered by Boized Ruach of Yamas. A person should keep away from embarrassing and inappropriate and dishonorable behaviors. So he says, Shloisha Sanesi, there are 3 forms of conduct which I totally hate. The 4th one, not on the same level, but I also dislike it. What are these things? Sar. Rashi says Sar over here means the Talmud Chacham, a scholar. Hanirgal, bevis hamishtois. Nirgal lashon ruggle. He's steadily found in the in the bars, the place of wine. But Amrilo, some say Sar Nargan. Nargan says Rashi Mabar Dvarim, he's always blabbering. But Amrilo, some say Sar Nirgas. Always losing his temper. So he makes a fool of himself. It's embarrassing. It's inappropriate for his status. The next item, V'moishev sheves b'roi mekeres. A person sits down with his talmidim out there, in the high in public, full view of the crowd, which appears like haughtiness. Another pshat in Rashi, because they're prone to interruption by the passerby. So ideally, you meant to learn in a quiet, private place. The third item, a person directly handles his aver when he's shedding water. And the 4th item, running to the house unannounced, without knocking. Runs into his friend's house without advance notice. Unfair to his neighbor. Even to one's own house. Should first give a little advance notice before coming in, lest he catch the people, off guard. There are 4 things that Hashem hates, but I am not on the level to actually hate them, but I also feel a dislike for these things. What are the 4? Entering a home suddenly, certainly his friend's home. Number 2, Number 3, person doesn't engage in cleanliness. He sheds water near his bed, and it's meant to be kept clean. Tesis brings that it attracts chas v'shalom poverty, certain spirits which are drawn to unclean areas. So this fellow should be going outside. Instead, because he's undressed, so he's doing his needs over here, which is inconsistent with the rules of cleanliness and hygiene. A person is with his wife in front of a living being. Now, when we say living being, even creatures or just humans? Even it's an issue even in front of mice. He says, he's a sharp scholar. He says, no, lie. It's only an issue if it's in front of people. With discounting the conduct of such and such a home, where they wouldn't hesitate in front of their own, maidservants. They're with their wife, in front of their slaves and maidservants. So that's an issue, because they were human beings. Now, what was their justification for doing that? They knew that you can't do it in front. They figured that they don't have full status. That was when Avram Avinu told Eliezer, Yishmael, sit with the donkey. Why? Because a slave has that status. It's a nation. It's a group of people which has similar status to Chamor. So they figured there's no issue in front of them. But in reality, the Gemara says there is. Now we find that Rabbi Bar Huna Mekarkesh Zagi the Kilsa. In order to ensure that there was no people around, he would jingle the bells of the Kilsa of the canopy over the bed. Tosfos asks if anything that attracted attention or was not really appropriate. So he has different girsa, Mekarkesh Gazi, who chase away these flies. Others say that he would do so, not just when he was together with his wife, he would do it, occasionally, to keep, the people away, to keep the room quiet. So this way it wasn't really a clear indication of the impending tashmish. Abaye would chase away didvi, even the smaller flies. Rava Bali Pruchi, Rava would chase away even the little fleas. Each one went, higher and higher to ensure that there wasn't even anything around, to ensure the highest standards of tznius and appropriateness. Okay, so in a nutshell, we have a sugi about vestes, the raisa, the rabbonon. We have the chiv b'dika before and after tashmish or taharis. V'sham say a series of b'dikas for each one. So he'll say throughout the night, one series is enough. And we discussed the idea of imachmer. This Gemara discouraged it because it's only for taharis, not for the Baal. We discussed the interesting concept of losing an aid. So you have to redo in order to proceed. And we discussed various forms of conduct which are discouraged, including Mishamish Das B'Yayim, which related to the Bryce that we discussed earlier. And overall, striving to maintain a high level of dignity and appropriateness. All the best to you, and Hatzlacha Rab.